Okay.
Hello everybody. Today I am sitting with Burt and we are going to be discussing Only Love Works. So to start off, can you describe what that means, Only Love Works?
Yes. See, when we talk about love, we will often think about the expression of love. You know, love making, sex, romance, which is fine, they're expressions of love. But one thing that we miss is that we forget about the non-duality that is life. Now, non-duality simply means that it's not two. Duality is two. Non-two. So this means that everything is interrelated, interdependent, and interconnected. All right?
Okay.
If that is the case, that means that everything is one. If everything is one, then whatever I feel about you is what I feel about myself. The more I love me, the more I love you, etc., etc. So this is what love is. Love is not an expression per se. It just is, you know. Like throughout history, it's been called God. Because it's one, and you cannot differentiate, you cannot, you know, and it's the only thing that works. Love is the only thing that works. So, so now when I talk about love is existence itself, because of its oneness, everything, you know, flowers, birds, animals, all living things are one consciousness, one being. But those are expressions. So we can say that life is divided into two. Now, like we said, one duality means that everything is one. So this means both existence and existing things are one. But in order to understand love, let's go into it a little bit deeper, is first existence, I call it pure awareness. Okay, it's a presence. And this presence is very, very much alive. A few weeks ago, I got up in the morning at 5 o'clock, and all of a sudden, Burt disappeared, and there was no Burt, but I was still embodied. But I felt like I was everything. This place, which I've been in for so many years, felt so strange, and I kept walking, and I had so much energy, and I played with a dog on the beach. I don't want to go into it too much. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that at that point, I was pure love. It's very, very hard thing to describe. I saw everything as part of myself, and I was an extension of everything. Another thing, too, is that I have what is called a peripheral vision impairment. Well, during that, I didn't have it. I saw almost all around.
Wow.
I was this presence. You see what I mean? And it lasted most of the day until I didn't eat. I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I didn't eat till about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and the body started getting hungry. Now, ordinarily, and at something like that, I would have maybe a blood sugar drop if I don't eat those many hours and walking, playing, running on the beach and everything else. But I didn't. And then, to make a long story short, because I want to get to the point, I take out my wallet when I had lunch over at the boathouse at the beach. And when I did that, I looked at my wallet and I said, so that's me. I never realized I looked so old. And at that point, I began to identify with it more and more and more, and then suddenly everything started coming back. Okay, but the feeling is still with me, and all I felt was this love. But this love had no. I feel like part of everything. I feel one with everything. And it's a joy, it's a bliss.
So what if a person was sitting here that you weren't very fond of, or
that wouldn't exist.
That wouldn't exist.
No, only Burt cannot be fond of somebody, but who Burt is, which is this essence now, it cannot not love, because it might not like someone's personality because they may be rough and crude and coarse and blah blah blah, but the love will always be there, because it's just like your feet, you know. You look at your feet, and maybe your feet are not very nice. You got a crooked toe or something like this. And you cannot say, well, I don't love this toe, because it's still a part of you. You might not like it, but you still love it because it's part of you.
So even if a person caused you pain, you would still feel love
Oh,
for
oh
them?
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Are you feeling love for them, or are you just feeling love?
Feeling love.
Okay.
You don't feel love for someone.
Right.
Okay? The thing that we have about romance and about marriage and everything else, a lot of things are going to change as we keep on waking up, is that the ideas that we have about love will also change. Love is love. It is unconditional. And the more we move towards unconditional love, the more we begin to see how glorious. When you say the word God, you no longer take it to a religious term. You see it so much greater that you could ever, you know, this word God, it is what love truly is, you see? And each one of us is that. And there's never an end to that. Now, I'd like to go back to existing things and existence. So in my book, which is the latest book I wrote, which is well, I forgot the title. The fire and mystery of awareness.
The fire and mystery of awareness.
Right. Many people say that consciousness is everything. It's true when you make it as a capital C. Okay. Everything is consciousness, oneness. But when you understand the difference between awareness and consciousness, and then you bring them as one, then you understand non-duality. So awareness is what we are right now. Your total awareness, you're aware you're sitting here, you're aware you're talking to Burt, you're aware you have a body, you're aware everything. You're aware of everything. If there are sounds, even as we're talking, you hear them. We're constant awareness. That awareness is always present. That awareness is always now. That presence is eternal. See, very few people are aware of that. There's no beginning or end to it. So therefore, when we begin to understand that you are presence itself, pure awareness, even when your body drops, you're still aware. Because the ears, these are tools. The eyes, which are tools. Okay? The mouth, which is a tool for talking. But these senses are in your awareness. You see? But we always had this ability to see, to feel, to know. But this the mind can't understand it, because it created the mind out of itself. Okay, the mind can't understand it. It just is. And this isness is totally aware. This awareness is not something, it's a nothingness, it's an emptiness. Okay? When you meditate and you enter pure being, you're one with awareness at that moment, you see? And that's love. Now, from awareness, the moment there is the slightest thing you become aware of becomes a thought. Okay? Thought immediately creates consciousness. Consciousness of what? Consciousness of the thought. Okay? So the moment you become aware of a thought, that is consciousness. Now, when you see and you're embodied, and the body is a beautiful thing, then to take care of it, because you are everything. There's no duality. Everything is one. So therefore, when you begin to realize and respect and love everything as that oneness itself, you also begin to see that everything came from this nothingness, from this emptiness. Everything is just energy. So now at this point, when you say that everything is consciousness, which is right, you use the capital C, consciousness. Okay? The capital C, consciousness, means awareness and consciousness are both one now. Okay? But awareness is silent. Awareness is beauty. Awareness is love. Awareness is joy. Awareness is gratitude. Awareness is bliss. See, people confuse happiness with bliss. Happiness is physical. For example, you're happy, it's relative.
Because of something.
That's right. You're happy because right now you're talking to a friend you love. You're happy because you love the place you are with. You love because somebody gave you a car. You love because things are going well with you.
Yeah.
Bliss is constant. Bliss is the very nature of awareness. If right now, for example, something is happening to your body, you're not happy. Okay? But the bliss can always be there.
Mm-hmm.
You can take a deep breath, become one with the pain, become one with it, and just be still. And in that stillness, no matter what is happening, which brings a healing too, when you become one with whatever is happening and you allow it and accept it fully, in that stillness comes the moment of bliss. See, bliss is always there. It is the very nature of awareness. Pure awareness is bliss. You see? So now, existence itself is emptiness, nothingness. From nothingness came everything. Okay?
Okay.
For example, how did form come from nothingness? Well, we can use scientific terms. You know, we can say, well, first came atomic energy from waves. Waves were created from the energy of nothingness, and then these waves become atomic energy, and then particles came from atomic energy, and then molecular structure came from the particles, and then matter. And then you say, oh, there's a chair, there's a table, there's a carpet, my gosh. But as you look at it, it's all emptiness, it's all relative. It's all come from nothing, you see? Everything is one. Everything is just that same energy. So, so this is where we begin to understand that everything is love. The moment you see it as it actually is. But the point is, why do we need to understand love, and why do we need to understand the true non-duality? Because we are all suffering. The first noble truth of Buddha was life is suffering. There is suffering, okay? And the final truth is that you can be liberated from that suffering. Now, suffering means this, that you don't know you are love. You think you are this body. And so you begin to think separate.
I think I'm Candise.
That's right. You think you're Candise. I think I am Burt. You see, even now, from that experience, I still sometimes, you know, think I made a decision, or I have free will. Do you know that the moment you realize you are, there is no goal that you need to achieve? You are that. You can just, you're here. You're now. You're perfect. You know, there's no purpose to life. There's no meaning to life. There is nowhere to go, nothing to achieve. Absolutely nothing. And in that nothingness is unconditional love. It is the very joy. Why does it rain? Nobody knows. Why does the sun shine? Nobody knows. Oh, you can say because of this and because of that. But still, you don't know why it makes it do what it does. You see, the body, for example, takes over. It told me when it's hungry. My heart is beating, my brain is firing, neurons right now, words are coming to me because I'm talking about something I love, and everything comes from love. And so love is talking through me, you see, it's taking over. See, so this is, and then when you begin to understand that, that very understanding takes away the suffering. Because suffering is nothing more than simply not knowing you are love. So therefore there's insecurity, you see. Thinking that, oh, I want to have so much money in the bank. Oh, if I'm robbed of that, my gosh, I'm going to be insecure. You see, your security is that very love itself. Now, there's another thing which is so beautiful, is that what I realized too, when Burt was not around, is that I am life and I can trust it. It's my mother, it's my father. You see, when Jesus walked the earth, he said, I don't do these miracles, the Father in me doeth these works. People did not understand it. And they made it into a religion, you see. But the truth of it is that the Father, the Mother, the nature, life itself is one, and it takes care of you, you see, and you trust it.
So if I were to ask, are there ways to practice it?
You don't need to practice that which you already are.
Right, so there's nothing to do.
There's nothing really to do but to keep remembering that, and that brings you bliss.
Right.
And when you have bliss, the word what to do does not enter, because you're never bored, you're never tired, you're never, oh, you could be physically tired, yeah, but you're never
Have
restless,
doubts
or anything. No, because there is that bliss. And you can enter bliss anytime you want to. Anytime you want to. Many times I lose my bliss. You know, all of a sudden I had when I was robbed from this money, so it came back. There was a momentary shock.
Right.
Then immediately I went, oh my goodness, it's controlling me.
Mm-hmm.
So I sat and I entered bliss. It's very simple. You know how to enter bliss? Just look
Sure.
right now and see everything as still. Just silence. Just feel the silence. You can still see the trees moving, everything moving. You might hear sounds, but yet, hear the silence. I am. The moment you become still, there is a feeling in you which feels good, feels blissful, feels, you see? Happiness comes from bliss. But bliss is greater than happiness, because bliss requires no purpose.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Mm-hmm.
So, is that clear about how only love works? Oh, I want to give you an example how love works. I had a woman, and she said to me, she said, Burt, she said, I keep being taken advantage of. And, one man started yelling at me, shouting at me. And she said, but she's telling me, we're having a Skype session. And she said to me, she said, but Burt, she said, I was told by my counselor to stand for my rights, to, what is the word, create boundaries.
Create boundaries.
Yeah, I need to create boundaries, and I need to stop being vulnerable. And so I listened to all that, and I smiled. Of course, what else can I do? She's making up her mind. So I had to ask her questions. I said, why do you need to protect yourself? And she said, because if I don't protect myself, who's going to do it? And I said, why do you need to do it in the first place? And she said, well, so that I won't be hurt. Okay? You see, so what is happening through this psychology is that she's not getting in touch with why she feels violated. She's not getting in touch with why she is so fearful and why she feels being taken advantage of. She's not getting in touch with that energy. Mm-hmm. So what is happening is she's playing victim. She is separating. That separation creates more suffering. Now I'm going to be protective. How many women and men, and they say, well, I had one relationship after another, it didn't work, and they become bitter and hard. I'm going to stop feeling right now because I don't want to get hurt anymore. Hogwash.
And then they create a pattern out of that, of always feeling like that when relationships come up. Or
that's right, because it repeats itself. That's self-protection.
Yeah.
That self-protection ruins love. Mm-hmm. Okay, because it blocks love.
Closes you down, closes the heart down.
It closes the heart down.
Right.
And the point is to be innocent and open. So what?
Mm-hmm.
So what if you're taken advantage of? Nobody can take away that which you already are. Nobody can do that. Yes?
So does that mean that, are you saying we should take full responsibility of how we feel in that moment, and
then accept it?
And then accept it, and not feel guilty about it,
No.
or not feel, not judge it, but just accept it and let it go?
You don't even have to let it go. The moment you accept it and become aware of it, remember the word aware. Okay? Awareness is God. Awareness is love. Awareness is. So the moment you become aware, I am freaked out about this violence, that this man shouting at me. Okay? I feel so upset. I shouldn't let this happen anymore. Stop for a moment. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with being upset in the moment? Well, why am I upset? I'm upset because I don't feel loved. Mm-hmm. It always comes back to the same thing. I feel less than. I feel something is missing. Mm-hmm. Okay? But when you get in touch with that very upsetness itself, you realize that it's your own self-defense, your own self-protection that is creating it over and over and over again. So afraid of being controlled that you become controlling.
So if you are that love and somebody is yelling at you, they can be yelling at you and you can just maintain that love and
You maintain that love. If somebody yells at me, okay, at this point, I'll say, oh, they're frustrated because they think I'm not listening.
and then you can
Yeah.
reassure them that you're,
Yeah, and
you're listening,
we can talk about
talk
it. Yeah,
about it.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Instead of entering into that duel with the person,
Right.
because
Right.
that's then
If you
defining-
enter an argument, only love works, remember.
Right.
Argument never wins.
right,
Everybody loses in an argument.
because that's not
Because-
coming out of love.
You see, there's another thing that the ego loves. It wants to be right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why we have so many religions. That's why we have so many beliefs.
Yes.
That's why we argue. We want to be right. But you know, when it comes to non-duality, there's no belief there. There's only opening your heart to existence. You exist, you see? And once you do that, that very openness itself to existence, it teaches you everything you need to know. Because awareness is the knower inside you. But not knowing something, because there's nothing to know, it feels disconnection.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Burt was gone, I was all knowledge, I was all knowing, but there was nothing that I knew. You see, because there is only love. If you have only love, you have got all knowledge. What else do you need?
Right.
Everything is complete.
Right.
You see?
I had an experience when
Yeah.
I was at a yoga retreat a couple months ago, and this was when I went to Cambodia, and people were asking me questions about my life, and I couldn't remember anything from before the trip.
Yeah.
You know, nothing seemed to come up for me, and I thought that was really strange, but I believe it was because I was in that space of pure
Yes.
love.
Yes.
And none
That's
of that
so good to
before
hear you
was
say that, yeah.
relevant. Yeah, it was
Very good. It happens
but-
like that. You don't lose your memory.
no.
What happens is that you're no longer a story.
Yes.
You are the
It's
present.
very liberating. I felt
Yes. You're just
very
here.
open. Just there. That's
You're just there.
Yeah.
You're not a story, you see?
Yeah.
I am. I'm very much alive. I am very much love. You see?
And those stories, like you were saying earlier about being tired. Yeah, it's okay to be physically tired if you're exerting a ton of energy, but you know, often I find, you know, if I'm thinking a lot in a day,
Mhm.
I'm a lot more tired than when I'm exerting physical
Yes.
energy.
Right.
So it's interesting when you can drop those stories and go throughout a day without a story and just feel that love radiating
That
from
love,
you.
which is that stillness we talked
Yeah.
about. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the bliss.
beautiful.
Comes that bliss, you see?
Mhm, mhm.
Right, right. Yeah, you're not a story. And many people think, but if I don't think about these stories about what happened or, you know, etc., then I feel like I'm lacking something. But you're not, because what makes you complete is this moment. See, this is the most frightening thing about non-duality and why people don't seem to grasp it.
Mm.
Because in non-duality it also means that nothing has a meaning.
Right.
Nothing has a purpose. There's no direction, there's nowhere to go, there's nothing to do. See, that's frightening to most people because they want to have ambition, they want to strive, they want... But another thing is that the moment you start to trust love itself, it takes care of you.
Right.
There was something in the Bible that was so beautiful that says about birds. Say they don't worry about what to eat or where to go or whatever because God takes care of them, so to speak. I forgot how it is, but anyway. So the point is that when you come to realize that everything is that one, that very oneness itself takes care of you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, I was going to say something else, but...
I think a really good exercise, which I've done in the past, is I've just sat and I've looked at birds. Because they are very beautiful and peaceful. And you watch them sitting on the power lines or even on the water, and they just come and go as they want, and they sit together and they peck at each other, and then they fly away and they come back, and it is very peaceful, and there is no you know, they're not carrying a story with them.
No,
It's
no.
just,
And they don't care what the next moment is going to be.
yeah,
They're just always here.
they're,
But they're never bored.
no, they're not. It's really incredible.
Yeah.
Just watching them,
Yeah.
because that puts, you know, that puts me in the space of bliss when I'm able to watch that. It's like
Yeah.
they're experiencing it, but I'm experiencing it too.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah. All living things are one. We're all different forms of the same one
Right.
being.
Right.
You see, that is the beauty.
Mhm.
You know, that is the greatest beauty. Yeah. Did you have some questions? You said that...
I do, if you haven't already answered them. I wanted to ask, because you touched on how, you know, well, first, like slowing down, so being in that blissful state, like how do people live their lives? How do people, you know, go on with their, say if they're working in the stock market, you know, it's crazy. How do people go about still living life and maintaining that bliss and that feeling of not needing to be the doer?
Yeah, this is it. Not to be the doer. If, however, what you love is the stock market, what you love is making money, which is okay.
Right.
Because the wonderful thing is that there's no good or bad, right or wrong, should or shouldn't. There's,
Right.
you know, it just is. Everything just is.
Right.
Whatever is. You know. So therefore, if you love the stock market, if you love making money, then that very love itself will show you strategies and ways in which this can happen. As long as you don't hurt anybody. This is the one law. If you separate, if you hurt somebody, then you are going to get hurt.
Right.
Okay. For example, many people like the mafia, for example. Okay. The organizations, they're very big organizations, and there's the Russian mafia too, and they are killers and robbers and everything else. But their lifespan is very short, and they end up doing the same thing that they've hurt others. So, because it can be helped, okay? If anything that you do without love is only going to be short-lived, and you'll never find the peace. You're always looking behind your shoulder.
Right. So how do people go about finding that love?
By knowing that you are this oneness.
Right.
You see, and then you might say, but Burt, how can I have an experience so that Candise will disappear? You cannot do that. That has to come by grace. All you can do is know that Candise is a name given to you by birth, and it's a beautiful name, and it's beautiful, and it's nice, but it's not who you are. You are. You're a presence. Okay? By knowing you're a presence, by living from that presence, it will act through you. Because life doesn't make mistakes. The human makes mistakes. Life never makes a mistake. You see? So when you start to feel this love, and love will act through you, then it simply takes you where you need to be, to do and say whatever is meant to be. Everything just happens as it must. You know, it's funny, the first time I saw you at Greens, you were a nutritionist at the time, you know, immediately some voice said to me, go and ask her to be your friend. And it felt right. It felt right.
And here we are 3 years later.
Yeah. So this is it. It has nothing to do with conditions. It has nothing to do with... It's... life takes you, acts through you, you see?
So just trusting that life is there to support you.
Yeah.
And as long as you're acting with love, then life will be there.
Life, yeah. Because you are life itself. Life doesn't make a mistake. There are no mistakes in life.
Right.
Life is. Is means it's beyond opposites. You see?
Right.
And the Course in Miracles says, that which is all-encompassing can have no opposite.
Right.
So this means that when we say something is nothing, it is also everything. You see? And what we call good or bad, see, there is no bad in life. You know, people keep writing me, but Burt, you know, they're so cruel to animals, and And Saddam Hussein used to boil people in oil, you know, and watch them die and scream in pain. And he says, doesn't that do something? You know, when you when you see it, the point is, you might say that you mean that this is not wrong. What is actually happening is this, that when Saddam Hussein was born, his mother wanted to abort him. And she used to bang her stomach against the wall. And when he was born, she told him, I didn't want you. Mm-hmm. Now imagine, by the time he was a teenager, he killed his first man. When he was in his country, and he saw the leader of his country, he got a few of his pals who also had no love. Because remember, when we are deprived of love, we seek power.
Right.
Okay, that's what crime is.
Right.
Okay, you seek power, you seek to have, to control. So he has this gang, and they went over to the leader of the country, the president of the country, and they put a gun in his back, and he said, you are going to give over your power to me, you're going to tell the people that I am from now on, I'm going to the leader. If you don't say that, I'm going to kill your wife, your children, and your children's children, and everything else, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And of course he meant it, because he was a killer. And this man abdicated, and he became a leader, dictator. Well, you know, Hitler has his own story, Stalin has his own story. Are these evil men? Well, you know, it's a funny thing. If a man becomes so totally controlling that he creates a whole country, is because, I don't want to use the word karma, it's because somehow or other that lesson is needed at this point.
I hear you.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
There is no death. And the moment you die, your ego also dies temporarily. So this means that you begin to experience light, you begin to experience beautiful things, but you also might remember the things that you've done and what you need to learn. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean? But I don't want to go into the esoteric part of it. What I'm saying is that nothing is really wrong what happens, but only totally misguided love. No love. Because without love, you seek power. Power always hurts. Power always controls.
And in situations where there are, you know, tragedies or, you know, mass killings, or there's that opportunity for love, that there's that opportunity that a situation like that may ignite love. And so if we choose love, then that will spread like wildfire.
Yes.
Wildfire.
Well, this is what is happening now, you know. Mm-hmm. There were some people got together and they said, they're supposed to be experts, but I forgot their name now, and they said that within the last 20 years, close to 1 million people have woken up spiritually, where this was unheard of. You know, 40, 50 years ago, when somebody was awakened, we said, oh, he lived in the mountains, he lived as a hermit, he prayed all day long, and blah, blah. Now you live everyday life,
right?
You know, and do whatever else does. You know, you might even drink or smoke or even eat meat. You know, and still you could awaken.
You can be awake.
Yes, you could still awaken. See, awakening does not remove your character or personality. What it does is makes you see the truth for the first time. That's what it does. It doesn't change you. You'll always remain as Candise remembers herself to be, but inside, she is presence. Right. Okay, everybody sees you the same. They see you more jovial, more blissful, happier, easier to get along with, but they don't see you as different. Okay? What happens is that you see things differently. When you look at people, you don't see them as bad or so obnoxious or so disgusting or so this or so that. No, nothing.
Just the judgment falls away.
Judgment falls away. You know, yeah,
Judgment's
right.
heavy.
Yeah, judgment is very heavy.
It's heavy to carry.
Very, very heavy to carry. I remember a few years ago, I used to look at the pornography and I used to say, oh, how disgusting and everything else. And I still enjoyed watching it, but but I was judging it, lustful and all this. Now I don't see it as wrong. I see it as stages that people need to go through to realize that that's not love. You see what I mean? Yeah. Nothing is wrong. People need to go through what they need to go through until they wake up. And of course, in the meantime, they're suffering. So then they find a teacher or some guidance or something where he's going to tell them, look, the only thing I can teach you, I can show you, is how to stop the suffering.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. How do we stop the suffering? Okay.
And do you go into all the things that they should stop doing, or do you talk about all the things that create love?
Very good.
Because
all the things that create love and the things that stop you from that love.
yes.
The things that stop you from that love are the very things that you are calling now, I should get rid of this fear. See,
You
fear.
can love that.
Yes. You see, fear is the greatest lesson of love. Because all it is a call for love. That's all it is. And when you begin to see this great need, this cry for love, like someone said something that was so beautiful. And he was a biologist. He was being interviewed, but when he said it, I had tears in my eyes. And he said, he was asked, is the earth alive? And he said, of course it's alive. And all we do on earth, all this bombing and nuclear testing and this fighting and wars and destruction, he said, the earth is crying.
So that's just his own perception.
That's his own perception. That's his own perception that, you see, everything that is happening is not bad, but it's a need for love. No, even earth is crying because it wants love. It wants, you know what I mean? Like when the earth, you go to a place where the soil is rich and everything is natural.
Yeah, plants are flourishing, the vegetables are
everything
colorful,
is alive.
everything's
Everything is alive. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So there again, it's just an opportunity to grow that love inside of us for
That's right.
the earth.
For the earth.
For the earth, and that will in turn create love for everything else.
That's right.
It's one way to focus that energy, and because there's definitely depletion going on in the soil, and we see destruction, but with love that can all be healed.
That's right. With love, all that can be healed. Right. Yeah. So when he said, his biologist said, the earth is crying, it doesn't mean that the earth is in great suffering itself, but it is love itself that's giving us, and we're depriving it from flowering itself, from
that attention,
from
that
the
needs.
attention it needs.
It
right.
does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, another question that I have is, do you need to be a seeker to experience non-duality?
This is the point. Oh, that is so beautiful. Thank you for that question. If you're a seeker, you cannot understand, you cannot non-duality, because non-duality, seeking is done by the mind.
Right.
Okay? And it wants an answer. There are no answers to life.
Right.
Okay? But there are questions. But the questions have to be understood.
Okay.
Okay? So therefore, when you are seeking non-duality, you are seeking that which you already are, and so it goes further and further away from you. Non-duality is now, this very moment as we talk, it is now as you're listening to this. It already is. You don't need to do anything, you don't need to go any place. You don't even need a guru, a teacher, or anything. You just need to simply be. You see, because that being is you. Now there are like the Hindus, for example, they have guru worship, guru disciple worship. That's still a tradition, though. Okay, but that's not necessary in the whole, because religions are part of the mind structure. Okay, but in truth, you don't need anything. All you need is love. Hey, that's a stone. All you need is love. La 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 la.
All you need is love.
Yeah, and love is always
your theme
this
song.
moment. Yeah.
Your new theme song. I think you've answered many of the questions that I had. Okay, another one I have is, if we are all God, why are there times when I feel guilty?
You see, this is why you feel guilty, because you don't feel you're God.
Oh, okay.
Guilt is one of the greatest... it's like crazy glue. You can't get rid of it, you know. If it sticks to your finger and you get rid of it, it sticks to this finger now. You see what I mean? You can't get rid of it. So therefore, the only thing to do with guilt is to see it's in invalidation. In other words, guilt is a feeling you've done something wrong or you feel wrong. Okay?
But if there is no wrong...
But if there is no wrong and you're completely convinced there is no wrong and you still carry that guilt, then you just don't feel good enough. You don't feel that love that you are. You see? And to feel love is not difficult at all, because feeling love is not an emotion. You see? It is simply... how can you look out and see the vegetation or the trees and not know that that is part of you? How can you look at the sky? You know, the whole of life, it's made up of air, fire, earth and water. That's what your body is made up of. That's what everything is made up of. Everything is made up of the same thing. So your body, you're embodied, and this body that you carry is you in a way in this particular lifetime. You see, even though the body keeps changing all the time. Every so many years it changes. You know, you're an infant, and then a child, and then a teenager, and then a woman, and a man, and an old man, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. It keeps changing all the time, but you're always you. You see? Now what is beautifully happening with non-duality, and many people are understanding non-duality through the heart, is that now people are going to live longer.
Right. Well,
You see, because,
the conflict goes down within the mind.
That's right, that's right. You live in the present.
You live in the,
People who live in the past age very fast.
Right.
You see? Yeah. If you live in a story, that story will make you very emotional. And then you'll try to keep on asserting that story because you want people to know you, to respect you, because you're seeking love and approval through that story. But once you see how silly it is, it drops away, then that's the richness. That's that's the fullness.
It's beautiful.
So I think we covered enough.
I think we did.
Namaste.
Namaste.